Hey folks, and welcome to another update of real-time update of issue descriptions. This week with a particular focus on awareness, UX, the user experience of the awareness feature, and a database for CRDTs. So let's get started. After last week, where this merge request has shipped, user awareness and the awareness session for collaborative editing is finally in GitLab, merged in GitLab. This allows us to build awareness sessions into GitLab and build all the top-notch UI features that we want to have, that we want to build on top of it. So how is that going to look like? The last week I have spent a lot of work on the user interface of the awareness feature. So in particular, I was thinking like what kind of states we have, like how many users we want to show, where do we want to show the online users that you're collaborating with, etc. So this kind of like shows the potential states that we have right now. As you can see, there's like 4 users currently online, but only one of them has this purple border color. And that means we only have one user who is like actively working on that document, and the 3 others are either like spectating or they have, just switched to another tab or another window and are like not paying close attention to that issue anymore. And there's also a limitation of like just 4 users. So the first user, second user, and the third user that joins that collaborative editing session is going to be shown with a little avatar image. But the 5th user is kind of like hidden behind the show more button. And this is because we have a limitation of space in the sidebar. And, or like it just in general, it doesn't make sense to show like 100 avatar images next to each other. When you click on the more button, you kind of like get a popover with a list that you can scroll, and you can see all the other people that you're collaborating with. The presence of a user is defined by its activity on an issue. So as long after you have joined an issue, you can immediately see your state being online. And if you're not doing anything for like 5 minutes, you will eventually be marked as away automatically by the system, and that is also true for any other user. So this presence state gets regularly broadcasted by the server to all connected clients. So this is like an almost like real-time update of the current user state. Cool. So let's have a closer look at the actual awareness UI. So what you get when you hover over an avatar image is the name of the user you're collaborating with and when they were last active. So this is kind of like represented by human readable date. So you can see that I was active on this document within the last minute. And if a user is away, we already give a little bit extra information about that, and you can click on the user name to get to the user profile. So this is very much in line with all the other usages of avatar images at GitLab. Why we are doing this on hover and why we are kind of like reserving the click on the user image for something else is because we want a feature in the future when someone is editing the text field of an issue description, and you're kind of like interested what they are currently editing, you should be able to click on the user's profile image, the avatar, and it will scroll the page to the last known cursor for that particular user. So when Sid is editing the second paragraph and I'm editing the first paragraph, as soon as I click on Sid's avatar, the issue page will scroll down to Sid's cursor. That's pretty much like how Google Doc does it, and I think it's a super useful feature. Okay, so let's take a look how this actually looks in the GitLab UI today. So you see like one collaborator, it's me, I'm online. If I hover over it, we can see my state, my name. When I'm away, it's like a less saturated version of that avatar image. A second user joins the session, a third one, a fourth one, and the 5th is kind of like hidden already behind the the load more or show more collaborators picture. You can also like hover over that. You get a bit of different information. In that case, you just get the number of additional collaborators. So what are the next steps here? We're still not clear on like if this feature should be added to the sidebar. The reason is kind of obvious because the sidebar usually has functionality around like editing an issue. You can add, remove labels, you can set a milestone, stuff like that. But the awareness feature is not really like editing anything on the issue. We're probably going to play around with it, like right aligning it to the issue title. And maybe even like try to keep it like at the top to where the breadcrumb menu is at the moment. And there's another prototype that I want to add to the work items prototype because there's like dedicated space for that. We will see what works best, take it from there. Second thing for the week is a database for CRDTs, and the reason why we need a database because CRDTs in theory don't need a database. They don't even need a backend. But we have already built YRuby for a particular reason because we want our backend to act like a client. And another thing we need is a database that helps us that helps the backend to do this in an efficient way. So every new client needs to fetch like the full document and it's the actual current state, not any other state in a very simple way. We want to help like clients that temporarily did go offline and then come back online, that they are able to like just fetch the like changes that were made throughout the offline period, that they can be retrieved in an efficient way. And we also want to make sure that the server is not suffering from too much memory usage because we keep like infinite document states in memory across the boundaries of a request response cycle, but instead we want to offload that into a database. And for that reason, it makes sense to have like some persistence layer that can support CRDTs. What we are going to end up building here is a Redis-backed database, or we use a Redis database to persist the CRDT. The reason for that is the CRDT is essentially just a linked list under the hood. So every list item represents a change. Those changes can be easily mapped to a specific state that a document is in. So if client A is in a different state as client B, they can like send their current state vector to the backend. The backend knows, you're kind of like missing those 4 changes, fetches that from the database, returns it to the user. Redis has a data structure that works nicely for that. It's a list. We use an additional hash map in order to store like state offsets, but that's not really a lot of data that we need to store. And the prototype is already working. We're probably going to release that as a companion to the YRuby gem that is already published on Ruby Gems. And I hope to see this being released within the next 2 weeks. Cool. So this is it for the week. See you with the next update. Bye-bye.